go through the master plan as well and trying to identify all the aspects we need moving forward. So we added some in red, some we're going to reevaluate and have been pushed out further or tabled at this time.
Any questions on that? Okay.
That was a
Finance.
helpful chart, I thought.
Yes,
To have
it's
all that
nice.
listed and.
Easy to read.
Finance and liability committee?
Yes, we did meet. Thank you. And went through everything outside of the recreation fund, which we had spoken about
And the general.
and the general fund. And went through everything else. Commissioner Hurtado and I met with Maureen and Carlo and went through everything. And I guess I'll just kick it over to you. Would you like to talk about it, Carlo?
Sure.
All right.
Can you pull that up? Sorry.
No, that's okay.
So last month we gave a little bit more detail of an overview of the fiscal year for general and corporate, or corporate and recreation. What I did now, this is the entire fiscal year that you also have the PowerPoint with the note section in front of you for 2015A. Same thing, this is a 6-month budget. It is going to be starting in fiscal year 2016 will be on the calendar year cycle. The principles in which we developed this budget were consistency, predictability, reliability, and accurate numbers. So what we try to do is we try to stay consistent in the numbers we're using. We try to use, I'm sorry?
Oh, no.
Oh, no. We're trying to we try to use the averages we move through to try to be as predictable as possible, not just going off of the trends, or not just going off of what past numbers were, but trying to keep consistent. We try to make sure our numbers are accurate when we're moving through and reliable as we go through, and our revenues versus expenses, which our goal is a balanced budget. So our budget process, just to review, this was something you received months ago, but we began working on the fiscal year. What we do when we do a budget kickoff meeting, staff prepare the budgets at the different levels and present them to their directors. From there, the finance and executive directors meet with the different director or department directors to go through the information. From there, we put it to the board's presentation for the general and recreation funds. We also then had the capital improvement preparation, which went in front of the capital development committee. What we'll be looking for at this point is, after this presentation, the budget will sit on draft for 30 days for public review, and then tonight we are hoping for capital improvement plan to be approved. And then after review, we'll look for July approval of the fiscal year and implementation and start the cycle right over again, because we're pretty much with the shortened year right there. Just looking at the revenue, like we mentioned last month, our corporate and recreation funds are our 2 largest funds. All the ancillary funds, which are the 8 listed up above, come up to 30%, 37% of our total operating budget, where the majority of our budget sits in corporate and rec. Out of the other funds, our debt service extension base and our special recreation funds are our 2 largest in the ancillary funds. Same thing with expenses. They pretty much match up identically, going in the same way with debt service being our largest and special rec. So our funds are pretty proportionate both in revenue and expenses.
I have a question on your graph next time. Can you put those percentages next to your ledger?
Sure.
Color codes?
Sure.
For a easier reading?
No problem. I can do that, and I can print it in color, and I apologize, but I'll do the
I'm saying
same
it prints out
No.
black and white.
No, I understand, and I'll do the same thing I did last week, or last month.
Yeah.
I include the PowerPoints in your weekly updates, so you have a copy of it,
Appreciate it, thank you.
or a better copy. So in the general fund, same principles that we talked about last month. Health insurance stability, we're not looking at any greater than a 10% increase. Our maintenance personnel, we have budgeted for the open positions that we have at this current time. So even though we are not fully up to staff at this point, we're short, I think, about 2 staff. We did budget for them, and our legal fees are a little bit higher than anticipated in a normal fiscal year, just because we took the average of where we were at that, or took half of where we were anticipated to be at the end of the year, which I think is still a little bit low than where we're going to end up. So overall, I'm not going to go through too much of it, but we got our anticipated cash balance, and we're including a capital transfer of $30,000, including the contingency, which in every fund, and I highlighted it in red because we're not planning on spending it, it's more there in case. So we're looking at our anticipated fiscal year 2015A is balanced. Recreation, same principles. Once again, we are moving the OSP into the fund. Ottawa Street Pool, I apologize, will, from being its own fund, is now in the recreation fund, as well as the revenue. We saw most of that coming in at the tail end of this fiscal year, so while Ottawa Street Pool, looking at it in the current 15A proposal, has very little revenue, it's because it's already come in. And then we do see, yes?
Why are we moving that?
We don't see it as an enterprise fund. We feel it should be incorporated within the recreation fund, so we're moving it into the recreation fund. And we have.
Does it help
this-
with us paying the expenses somehow?
No, I mean, overall, it would make a difference. But the ceiling on the recreation fund is 30, or 37 cents. I always mix up the cap.
37.35.
Yeah, one of them is capital or corporate and recreation, one's 35, one's 37. We're operating at about 11 cents in recreation, so we have a lot of room to put it into the recreation fund.
And there's, being that the pool is what is considered an enterprise fund,
Sorry.
okay, so, being that the pool is considered an enterprise fund, there's more detailed accounting with that, because it's basically what you consider, like most park districts, what they consider their golf courses
Right.
or their aquatic centers as an enterprise fund. It probably should never really have been set up as one, because we don't generally make a profit, or so we generally break even at that facility. And then there's a higher level of accounting as far as fixed assets, so it's actually more work involved in accounting for that, which is not necessary.
If we keep it a separate one.
Correct.
Okay.
So overall, one of the positives is there will be a capital transfer of about $250,000 out of the rec fund from this current year, holding the contingency a balanced budget. Paving and lighting, I'm just gonna go through some of the things, I'm not gonna go through all the numbers, but the biggest thing here is we're gonna put this fund in a dormant state. We don't really utilize it much, we're moving a lot of things into the capital fund, so we will be doing a transfer of the balance into the capital fund, and then we won't be levying for this in the future. We are not eliminating the fund when I say that, we're just putting it in a dormant state, because if we eliminate a fund at any given time, in order to regain the fund, you have to go back for referendum. So we're just basically not gonna levy for it in the future, but it will still be in existence. Audit fund, we are going along the same principles. At the conclusion of this year, we are looking to start levying for the audit, or start budgeting for the audit out of the corporate fund. It's a small fund of only $15,000. Once again, our corporate fund is at about 10 cents, where we have about that till 35-cent ceiling. So we're just gonna budget for it in the corporate fund and then put this fund in dormant state as well moving forward. Liability, one of the things here that is a little bit unique, we'll be asking for approval later tonight for the liability within the district. But one of the things here is our full year of liability is paid in fiscal year 2015A. It's not a month per month premium, whereas our workers' comp is a per month premium. So we'll be fronting half of 26, or I shouldn't say fronting, but we'll be paying through 2016, July 1st of 2016, when we approve that. And so you're not looking at, it's not a full 6 months, it's 6 months and a year worth of the two insurances. IMRF, we do not have cash balance currently, so we budgeted for what we anticipate from our current staffing. We do get an $1,800 reimbursement from the township per our agreement with a shared staff member. Debt service, basically it's what is established by our bonding authority, that we've already passed ordinance on, and our expenses, and we'll have a carryover balance we're anticipating a carryover balance of $73,309. Capital, I did put a couple of notes in here. We did add the new projects, like Larry said, in the red. We have carryover projects and replacement. We are anticipating a fund transfer of $476,419 to move into the fund. That's between, once again, special rec, special rec, corporate, recreation, and paving and lighting. And then the DuPage River Trail, we have budgeted for it, even though the project hasn't officially initiated, just in case, because we're anticipating it possibly this year or next. So out of the total balance of the revenue and the expenses, almost 50% of the revenue and 50% of the expenses is related to that project. So we're anticipating revenue of almost $781,000 for reimbursement from the ITEP grant, and expenses of about $900,000. So just to give an idea of where the majority of the capital is budgeted for this upcoming year. And then we'll have carryover balance moving forward, which is good because our projects are established going to be established over the next 5 years. So we're trying to keep the fund funded as well as moving forward and using our dollars wisely. Police fund is currently dormant. It has been for several years now. We have not levied. So we only have about $500 of expenses out of this, which is alarm related. We are looking into the possibility of using it for security possibilities, cameras, etc. So we can run down the fund because we cannot transfer this fund out. Because we levy for it, the money stays in this fund until it is no longer there. Special recreation, our LCSRA contribution is $386,000. That was approved at the fiscal year. Our ADA projects are transferred to capital, so we're looking at a revenue of $387,000, capital transfer of $190,000, and then the remainder is the budgeted expense. Social Security, once again, we budget for what we anticipate, and then from there, I did not put unemployment. We are a reimbursable employer. Did I say that correctly? Sometimes I say things backwards. So we don't budget unless we anticipate something moving forward with unemployment. Are there any questions on the budget at this time? And then you have in your binder the full detail as the staff has prepared. You received this with it, so if you have any questions on numbers, otherwise, once again, next month, this will be on the board packet for approval.
How's your process of coming across with the new spreadsheets in regards to ins and outs?
Right now, we haven't changed anything because we're still with MSI. One of the things we'll look at a little bit more detail when we're developing the next spreadsheets is we're looking at three software companies right now, which are budgeted in the capital fund, and then we'll start tinkering with the spreadsheets and getting the detail that we kind of want to put in there moving forward that we've talked about, changing some of the detail in the budget report.
My question quickly in regards to how do you follow your rebates from different like Menards and so forth, products, discounts, or rebates at 11% and so forth. How do you show that coming in?
I don't.
Yeah.
I know we try to track it.
No, they give you cards and so forth for rebates.
No, we don't get cards. We file for the rebates and then they use it towards store credit. I know that. I don't know exactly the process.
How do you track that?
When they fill the rebates out with the Parks Department, I couldn't tell you the exact process. I would have to find that out for you.
Okay, because that'd be credit into the finances too. So, just question,
Any other questions? Personnel and Policy Committee, did you have anything to add tonight?
We met, we're working on the executive director's, thank you, job description, I went blank. But it'll be probably next month before we bring it to the board.
Okay.
So we will be looking to call the Personnel and Policy Committee again, because beyond that, we have another finance policy meeting. Can you refresh which policy was there?
That is the outstanding check policy.
Okay. So we're going to be looking to pass that policy as well as recommended by our auditors.
Okay. And I know Recreation and Marketing, nothing to add. Governance and Accountability Committee has nothing to add. So that moves us to action items. Item A, seeking a motion to approve ordinance 2015-02, an ordinance establishing prevailing wage rates.
It is June. This is every June. It's pretty much automatic.
I'll make that motion.
A motion was made by Commissioner Steines. Is there a second?
I'll second.
A motion was made by Commissioner Steines, seconded by Commissioner Ayers. Any discussion? Roll call.
Ayers?
Yes.
Ludeman?
Yes.
Newton?
Yes.
Poling?
Yes.
Steins?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, that brings us to action item B, seeking a motion to approve the liability insurance renewal.
Make that motion.
A motion was made by Commissioner Steines. Is there a second?
I'll second.
By Commissioner Ayers.
Once again, this is through iParks. We had presented last month, and this is the one quote that we came back with for our Park District's liability and property coverage.
Of course, there's no other, anything else out there.
Paderma is the only other option at this point that would give an apples-to-apples comparison.
Any other discussion?
And I'm sorry, just a side note, we are meeting with Paderma later in July to look at, once again, the possibility of having a better apples-to-apples coverage, because they vet their clients before they accept them, so we have to be accepted by the membership. So before we're presented to the membership, they want to make sure we're a safe risk.
Okay.
Hopefully, they think we are.
Sorry.
Any other discussion on that one? A motion was made by Commissioner Steines and seconded by Commissioner Ayers. Roll call.
Ayers?
Yes.
Ludeman?
Yes.
Newton?
Yes.
Poland? Yes. Steins?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Action item C, seeking a motion to approve the capital plan.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right.
And then the reason we're trying to pass the capital plan at this point for fiscal purposes is then it'll be automatically included into the budget, as well as we're gonna put some of the projects out to bid now and try to award them between July and August, so that this way we can move forward with them before we lose weather.
Any discussion, questions? Okay, a motion was made by Commissioner Steines and seconded by Commissioner Newton. Roll call.
Ayers?
Yes.
Ludeman?
Yes.
Newton?
Yes.
Poland? Yes. Steins?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Is there any old business? Any new business? No. Look at that, moving right along. Board initiatives, the only one I'm remembering now is assigning the Capital and Development Committee to the Village Green proposal for that historic district. Anything else that? Commissioner comments. Commissioner Ayers, do you have any comments tonight?
I'd like to thank staff with they've vacated the premises. And also thank Maureen and her team and Carlo for all of the hard work on not only the budget, but on the insurance. So thank you all very much for everything that you have done.
Just so we're aware, besides Maureen, Shelley Figgins is sitting right back there, who also does a lot of work on it, so she's part of Maureen's team that does a lot of work towards the budget.
Thank you for staying, Shelley.
Nowhere else to run.
Commissioner Newton? No comment. Commissioner Poling?
Nothing.
Commissioner Steines?
And of course, how many attorney groups we have
Sorry,
presently representing the department?
attorneys,
Or doing business with the department right now?
currently that the board has, we don't have two.
Okay, maybe I'm just reading this. Hurley and Bradley, LLP.
That is actually a firm the district was working with through Prud'homme, specifically regarding the Affordable Care Act and its implication on the district. We were given 3 hours for free through their firm, through an agreement with Prud'homme, the Park District Risk Management Association, or health insurance carrier. We did go over, I believe, an hour and a half of that consulting fees, so we did have to pay that additional fee.
So they're not one of our actual regular
I'm just
attorneys.
wondering,
That's
we
more,
got another-
yeah, that's more to
another
deal
group
with
of attorneys on that.
No.
Yeah, that was specific to the Affordable Care Act.
Okay,
as we implement it starting here in July.
that's it, okay.
And I just, like Commissioner Ayers, wanted to thank staff for the wonderful reports and presentations and also the historical HPC, I think is what they refer to themselves. And everybody's, for the most part, left that I wanted to thank, so. But anyway, it's out there. Is there an executive session?
Yes.
Okay. So now, up to the executive session, seeking a motion to go into executive session as permitted under the Open Meetings Act, under 5 ILCS 120-2C2, collective negotiation matters between the public body and its employees or their representatives, ILCS 122C3, the selection of a person to fill a public office as defined in this act, including a vacancy in a public office, ILCS 120-2C5, the purchase or lease of real property for the use of the public body, and 5 ILCS 122C21, discussion of minutes of meeting lawfully closed under this act to reconvene. Is there a motion?
I so moved.
Are we making that longer?
A motion was made by Commissioner Poling and seconded by Commissioner Newton at 7:20 p.m.
Ayers?
Yes.
Ludeman?
Yes.
Newton?
Yes.
Poland? Yes. Steins?
Oh, we heard that.
Motion carries.
And once again, we'll do the closed session here just for easier purposes.